Right, we are live, so we are ready to go.
Do it.
I'm getting a little low on fuel.
What are you doing, Doc?
I need fuel.
Give me fuel, take the fly, sip me trace it out of sight.
Now, here are your hosts, John Eddie Jr. and Tom Tuttle.
Welcome to episode number 68
Whew.
of Fuel. We're starting to get up there. You've been working some overtime, Mr. Tom Tuttle, on your shuffling the decks. How are you today?
I'm good. Let's talk a little bit about. Well, I'm sure we're going to do some news first, but I'm ready to talk about some of these rookies.
Yes, we had our live draft segment last weekend. We stayed up for the whole thing. We had some hiccups at the beginning, and anybody that listened to us, watched us, thank you for joining us. That is why we did not have a actual full episode last week.
Yeah.
But we made it. We were tired the next day, but it was worth it. It was fun. And yeah, thanks for listening and watching us last week. It was a good time. So without any further ado,
Around that there National Football League, eh?
yeah, we got a little bit of news, and guess what? We're going to start off with
Cringeworthy Player of the Week.
and again, it might not be a specific player that's cringeworthy. I'm going with an entire organization and maybe just a GM. I have so much news that covers this one specific event that happened, the NFL draft last Thursday, and that was the drafting of Daniel Jones by the New York Giants at the number 6 overall pick. Now, of course, we saw some of those video snippets of the Giants fans with their hands on their heads going, what's going on here? And it didn't stop with just, average Joe fan. Certain someone, famous someone, especially right now, George R.R. Martin, the creator of the Game of Thrones books and, the series that is, about to resolve itself.
Yep.
He's a Giants fan, and even he ripped into the team for drafting Daniel Jones at number 6 overall. So that when a fantasy writer can't even get over the fact that you took a guy that probably should have fallen even farther in the draft, and this leads me into the next point. I'm gonna let you speak on this, Tom. I got a lot to unpack here first. Dave Gettleman, the Giants GM, he said there were a couple of teams that were probably going to draft Daniel Jones before their second pick at 17. But there are nobody's coming forward and saying, yeah, we would have taken him. And one of those people, teams that everybody thought could have taken him were the Redskins, who ended up taking Dwayne Haskins.
Right.
And the Redskins, Bruce Allen, said about Gettleman that I'm almost positive Dave has no clue what our draft board would be. I'm not done. Dave Gettleman thought Dwayne Haskins played in the Big 12.
Oh,
and he's actually from the Big 10, of course.
Oh, man.
That's not all. Dave Gettleman defended drafting Daniel Jones because a Giants fan at a bagel shop said it was a good pick. I'm going to read this. This is a tweet I saw earlier. I don't know how true this is. It seems like a valid source. It says, odd travel weekend, and I was writing outside on a lovely early Sunday morning in Phoenix at a table in the back of my hotel. Middle-aged guy approaches, introduces himself. Giants fan, the guy said, talk me off the ledge. Does Gettleman know what he's doing? I'll give you one. Gettleman himself said over the phone an hour later, I was at my bagel shop this morning. Guy said to me, Dave, great pick.
Unreal. Unbelievable. I mean, it is almost unbelievable. Like it didn't actually happen. Like that's just so crazy. I think the thing is you picked him early. If you wanted him and you were afraid that he was going to be taken before the 17th pick or whatever it was, then maybe you just trade back a little bit. I mean, it's just a little bit, right? I mean, that was just a little too early for him. And I mean, everybody knew it, but whatever. If that was your guy, go for it. But I feel like they could have got him with their second pick. I said that during the draft.
Yes, you did. We both were like,
Yeah.
okay, I think he would have fallen, but
Yep.
whatever. Well, here's one stat that I'm going to get everybody thinking. Out of 58 quarterbacks selected in the first round over the previous 20 seasons, Daniel Jones' career 6.2 yards average yards per attempt is equal or better than just Jake Locker, Patrick Ramsey, and Kyle Bowler.
Man, them are some unrecognizable names.
Yeah,
I know all of them, but that's just the normal regular fan is not going to know who they are.
those are not any type of gunslingers. They are
No.
names that have struck fear in the hearts of their opponents. Oh my goodness. I just don't understand. I mean, as an Eagles fan, I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. It's a very young quarterback group in the NFC East now. And
Yes.
Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz are the veterans and they've played for 3 years. It's weird.
Well, Carson Wentz has played for less than 3 years.
Well.
Let's be honest.
Eli Manning's also still the starting quarterback, but he doesn't strike fear in the hearts of any of his opponents anymore either. So,
Right.
But enough Giants trashing. I didn't really mean to go that far, but kind of hard not to. A couple other draft player news before we get to our top 10 landing spots in this year's NFL draft. First one is Jaguars defensive end Josh Allen, who I believe was a steal in this draft, falling all the way to 7.
Yeah.
Jaguars. He told the local media he couldn't jump up and celebrate when the Jags took him at 7 because he was watching Monsters University on his phone with his son Wesley.
Wow. What? That's a great movie.
Yep.
What can you say?
Great movie, great dad. Because
that's awesome.
He doesn't know what's going on, so it's more important to do stuff with your kid. You know, you can always celebrate. You know what's going on through your mind. You don't have to pay attention to Monsters University. You can have your thoughts wander a little bit, but cool move for him, you know, sticking with whatever his son was watching.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
And the other news I wanted to discuss was, well, here's a question for you, Tom.
Okay.
Who do you think? I'm not saying specifically, but like what position or who do you think would be the first person to sign a contract from this year's rookie class?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I know, it's a weird question, but
yeah,
it's also got a weird answer because
okay.
I was like, oh, well, that's interesting because the 49ers have already signed their rookie punter to a 4-year deal. They locked him down.
Yes, that's the guy you got to get for sure.
That's right. I did see that Irv Smith Jr., the tight end that got drafted by Minnesota, he's also actually signed a deal already too. So he is on top of things, and he is the highest drafted person to sign his deal. But yeah, got to get that puncher in. And let's get on to the meat of the program, and we're going to talk about Tom and I's top 10 landing spots. There's some similarities here, but there's a few guys that we are not the same on. And we will start off with our number 10, and they are definitely the furthest from each other. I have Kahale Waring. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his first name correct. Yeah. I haven't heard it said by anybody yet.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
He's the tight end that was drafted by the Texans, and he seems like he's a good guy that can get in some space down the seam, and Deshaun Watson could really use a guy like that. He's always had the outside guys, Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, but he hasn't had that guy that you can rely on in the slot, like with Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz. If Kahale Warring can do anything close to what Zach Ertz can do, that is going to be a great combo.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the Texans, they've never really had a reliable tight end.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense. I understand it. It's definitely an under the radar pick.
Well, of course.
Because nobody's really talking about it. But I mean, you never know when Will Fuller is going to get hurt too. Because I mean, he's kind of got that injury prone kind of thing. So it's not a bad. I don't mind it. I like it to a certain extent. But I'll say this: when it comes to tight ends and rookies, and I don't have any tight ends on my list. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have more than just him.
Oh yeah.
But the reason I don't have any tight ends is because history says that rookie tight ends don't produce very well. The only one that's had 60 or more receptions in that rookie year is Evan Ingram, and we all know that was because everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
And he was the only one out there.
Yep.
And then the next highest was Jermaine Gresham with 52 catches, and that was back in 2010. It's been fairly mediocre or less than average with everybody else. So that's why I don't put a lot of stock in the tight ends, rookie ones. But I do think that this is a different type of class because there's more than just one standout tight end this year. There's 3 or 4 of them. Yep. So I understand it.
This is kind of like, and it's probably long overdue, or I'm just talking out my butt here.
No.
This is kind of one of those law of averages for me. I see a lot of good landing spots. I see a lot of quarterbacks that have liked their previous tight ends and don't have one currently, or went to a new team that didn't have one. And I think this is the year we see some rookie tight ends actually give you something in fantasy this year. I'm not saying they're going to be, top 5 or anything like that. But if you can get one of these guys, and like Tom said, I have more of these on our list and we'll get to them.
Yeah.
I think this might be the year. I'll go on a little bit of a limb saying I'm okay with drafting some rookie tight ends this year.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't have any problem with that. If you see something in somebody, hey, you got to go with it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just where I am on the tight ends. No big deal.
And your number 10 is a trio of I like the way you did this because it's definitely kind of an all or nothing deal. And we're talking about Kyler Murray, Andy Isabella, and Hakeem Butler.
Yeah.
For me. So why don't you tell us why you have them at number 10?
Well, for landing spots, it just seems like they're all going to be together and they're going to be working through this offense together for a long time. They're going to figure this out, whether or not this is a landing spots for this year or if it's a future dynasty type of thing, because they're young. They got a lot of time to develop together. That's basically the reason I put them on my list. I didn't have to because that's why I put them at 10. Like, I'm not going to put them anywhere else but right there. If I was going to leave them off, then I would have left them off. But yeah, that's just because they got a lot of work to do to get some chemistry together. And if they can do that, I feel like that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, if they can develop a chemistry, that will be a heck of an arsenal for Kyler Murray to use.
Oh, yeah.
And if they have that air attack, David Johnson could be another sneaky guy. I know I've been saying David Johnson for 2 years now, but
for Isabella and Butler, who else better to learn from than Fitzgerald?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that guy is a class act in every way, and he's one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. And it's just a good landing spot for all 3 of them in my eyes. And I think the Cardinals did really, really well.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. It's either going to be a bunch of learning curves and hiccups along the way, and the first year may not be very profitable in fantasy, but if they can keep their coach for more than a couple of years and stick together and learn together, and Larry Fitzgerald actually gets through to them, those young guys, sometimes, them young guys, they don't want to listen to anybody. I'm the best. I'm a freak athlete. I don't need to listen to nobody.
But see, now that's where I actually think, even if you have that attitude, Larry Fitzgerald is just such a good guy that he can get through to anybody. That's just my humble opinion on him. I don't know how.
If you can't, then nobody can.
Exactly. That's true. That's exactly the point.
All right. Let's go to number 9. I have wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who got drafted by Washington. And the only reason I have him on this list right now is because he was reunited with his college quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. Right. So he's going to be a favorite target right off the bat. It doesn't matter who else is already in Washington. Josh Doxson, he hasn't proven anything. Paul Richardson hasn't proven anything. Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis at tight end. Who knows what Dwayne Haskins is going to look to, but he knows Terry McLaurin.
That's true.
So he's going to be looking his way, even if it's terrible quarterback play out of Dwayne Haskins. And it's still not set in stone that he's even going to be the starter there, but I have a feeling he's going to get the opportunity over Case Keenum. So
yeah, at some point he will be. I don't mind this pick. The Redskins needed a lot. They still need at least some luck, at least to come their way. But they addressed some of their issues and some of their needs in the draft. And I actually think that, yes, they're going to be inexperienced and they still need some work to be done. But this is kind of just like my last one with all three of my guys that I put on my number 2. Is like, if these guys can click together, it can be a very good landing spot for the both of them.
Yep. And your number 9, I'm just going to say this right now, is either the best landing spot or the worst landing spot. So why don't you tell us who it is?
It's Darryl Henderson. Listen, I don't trust that Gurley. The fact that the Rams got Darryl Henderson is the reason that I put him on my list.
Yep.
Just they are worried about Todd Gurley. That is just plain and simple. And I really think that this is just the best. That's why I put him at 9, because it like you said, it could be the worst, could be the best. So it's just it's tough, but I think that if Gurley has any signs of any type of knee injury at all,
they're going to shut him down.
They're going to shut him down, and Henderson's going to be on the spotlight.
Yep. Darryl Henderson is a guy a lot of people were saying was the best running back in the draft. There's a lot of people that could say it about a few of them, but I heard it a lot about Darryl Henderson. Then I saw him go to the Rams. I'm like, I still think that about him.
It's a huge sign. It really is. And that's why I had to put him on my list.
Yep. I can't fault you for that one. I wanted to put him on here, but
no, I hear you.
I don't know what else to say. We'll probably talk about him again next week. And while I'm on the subject of next week, we will be recording earlier in the week. We will be recording on Tuesday nights, so the episodes will be out Wednesdays at the very latest, more than likely Tuesday nights. So you'll have more time during the work week to download us and listen to us. Thank you very much. But yeah, next week we are going to be doing our top 10 worst landing spots. And I have a feeling we may talk about Darryl Henderson again next week on my list, but we'll find out next week.
Hey, it's the worst and the best, like you said. So there you go.
Okay, moving on to number 8. I have Ebo Samuel, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. I just have a feeling Marquise Goodwin is basically done as a wide receiver in the NFL. Dante Pettis, he's got to stay healthy. San Francisco also drafted, I believe it was Jalen Hurd. So they took a couple of wide receivers, which is not showing much confidence in who they have.
Exactly.
And Jimmy Garoppolo's got to find somebody. He really hasn't had anybody to get a rapport with. So maybe Debo.
Yeah. I mean, he's on my list, but I'm not going to tell you where he's at. But
All right.
he's just. We can get to it later if you want.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get him on your side, since we both have
all right.
list. Your number 8 is a guy I want to put on the list, but because of my stupid fandom, I didn't know what I wanted to do with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, it's tough because I debated whether or not I should put him on here or not because of Jordan Howard. That's the only reason I didn't want to put him on there. But I think there's going to be some competition there between Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard, and I think it's actually going to be a little bit more of a pretty good 1-2 punch. I think there was nobody else on that team that's going to take that second punch, and I think they should just clear every single on Philly. They should just clear everybody else out. Say these are the 2 guys we want, and I think eventually Miles Sanders will take over the role. This is another one that's a dynasty type of thing. You kind of want to wait and see because Jordan Howard's going to have a pretty decent role still, but I think there's going to be some competition there, and I think eventually Sanders will take that job.
I think you're pretty spot on there. I believe at least for this year, you're not going to want any Philadelphia running backs on your
I agree with that
squad.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if he is the number 2 or even if he takes over at number 1, he's going to be a spot play at best. But I believe that's good for the Eagles as a team.
Right.
They're going to have a lot of fresh legs. Jordan Howard's not old. Miles Sanders is a rookie. Corey Clement, if he can come back and stay healthy, is still very young.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young, fresh legs on that team. But fantasy-wise, I'm staying away unless you're in a dynasty league and you can keep him on your taxi squad.
Right. I completely agree with you. I put him on there basically because of dynasty.
Right.
And we didn't really discuss about landing spots for like if it was for this year, if it was for a dynasty. So
it's still
went with my
early.
gut.
Most people are probably thinking dynasty at this particular moment.
Yeah.
But drafts are picking up. We'll probably do another one and specify later on down the road. But
yeah,
we'll talk about both aspects today. Number 7. I have my second tight end on the list, and that is TJ Hawkinson, and I probably would have put him on this list no matter where he landed. I think he is just a great overall blocking and catching tight end that he's going to find a way to get the ball, and the Lions need a red zone target. They thought they had it in Eric Ebron, but apparently they didn't know how to use him. So they needed somebody else. Maybe TJ Hawkinson is the guy. I can't see him being held down this year. He just looks really good.
Yeah, well, the Lions, they actually said that he's going to have an immediate impact. So that is one reason you can say this is a great landing spot. I mean, they already have trust in this guy, and he's going to be used. So if you're looking for a tight end and you're looking for something late or whatever it is for this year, Hawkinson's not a terrible choice.
Nope, he sure isn't. I know he's probably going to be going very high in our flag draft. I've had multiple people ask me about him that I know already. I'm not going to say who because they probably trusted me to not say anything about it, but I know there's at least 3 people that want to take him in the first round. So, yeah, TJ Hawkinson. Your number 7 is a guy I don't really care for.
Right. I understand that too. But here's the reason I have him, and it's N'Keal Harry. I have him at number 7. The reason I have him here is because I worry about him a little bit in that the fact that they might not integrate him on the Patriots offense for a couple years. But I am almost more worried about Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So if Demaryius Thomas isn't going to be what they want him to be, I think N'Keal Harry is the guy that's going to step up and take over that role. And if he can, that could be just ginormous. And that's why he's on my list. If he can take over that spot, it's going to be insane, I think. And I think that you're going to see I don't think it takes any effect in Edelman. If it did, it would just be the slightest little bit. But it's the Demaryius Thomas effect that I could see making N'Keal Harry the guy to go to for the future for the Patriots.
And maybe that was the whole reason the Patriots signed Demaryius Thomas, was they had a feeling they were going to draft a wide receiver high, and they wanted as much veteran leadership to bring him along as possible, which that's the main reason I don't like him, at least for this year. And then going forward, who knows if Tom Brady is going to be his quarterback? So that's another.
That is a big. I was considering that too. I was like, well, then I said, well, Tom Brady's going to play until he's 50, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, probably. I mean, nobody in the world in their right mind can guess what's going to happen with Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. So let's stop and just assume they're never going to quit. That's the only thing you can do that might actually be right. Okay, let's move on to our 6th best landing spot. And I know you've got this guy higher on your list. I wanted to put him higher. I'm not 100% sure with that team. I'm talking about the Oakland Raiders. What is going to happen with their offense? So, of course, I'm talking about Josh Jacobs, who I thought may have ended up on a different team, but he did land in Oakland, where we kind of thought he would when we were talking draft last week. And obviously, that is the absolute best possible landing spot for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Especially now that the news has come out that Isaiah Crowell has tore his ACL, or no, it was Achilles, I think it was, wasn't it?
It was Achilles.
So now he has even less mouths to feed in Oakland. They did re-sign Doug Martin, I saw, whatever. Chris Warren, whatever. Jalen Richard, whatever.
Yeah.
My only issue that makes me not put him higher is, can Oakland put together an offense this year and keep it? Because I'm not sure they're all going to be on the same page this year.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go too far into Josh Jacobs because he's on my list and I have him considerably higher than you. But I feel like there's going to be something there with him. So we'll get to it in a little bit.
Okay. Your number 6 is a guy who definitely went to the right team. They needed wide receivers badly. But I guess I'll let you explain your reasoning for Marquis Brown at number 6.
Marquis Brown at number 6, he's going to be an immediate starter. I almost guarantee you week 1, he's the starter. And I like what the Ravens did in the draft. I mean, if you just listen to my last Shuffling the Deck, you know that he's extremely fast, and they got 2 other guys that are really fast and on offense. And it's just going to be, I think that both him and Boykin are going to be decent. I don't know much about Boykin as far as how much they're going to integrate him into the offense. I think he'll be in there as well because they just don't have that much. So Marquis Brown, to me, instant starter, going to have plenty of value. That's why he is my number 6.
I almost put Boykin on my list only because he's a bigger boxing out type receiver that I thought maybe he didn't, or Lamar Jackson wouldn't have to be as accurate to get him the ball.
That's very possible. We'll see what happens.
Brown is so fast. They're probably going to run bubble screens and reverses with him that they'll play to his strengths and they'll play to Lamar Jackson's strengths. If they don't, they're stupid. So,
well, we could see. I could see that too. I could see that they could be stupid and try to do stuff that they shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I think that the very good possibility. They drafted a bunch of speed for a reason.
Oh, it's going to be there's going to be some Baltimore Ravens offensive highlights this year. It may not result in a winning record right away, but we are going to see some sick plays. Marquis Brown doing something so far down the field. Lamar Jackson spinning around, running around for 15 seconds. And then another guy they drafted that I know you like, Justice Hill. He's speed all over the place too. So there's going to be some, he's down in the huddle. Oh my God, he broke free. He's gone. Nobody's like, it's going to be, highlight city, but I don't know if it's going to result in wins. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we will find out about that.
All right. Number 5 for me is another guy you have a little bit higher on your list. That is Paris Campbell. Obviously a great landing spot if you can be a wide receiver and land where Andrew Luck is throwing the football. It's a good spot. No matter who you are, if you can ball out on the field, Andrew Luck will find a way to get you the ball. A great compliment to T.Y. Hilton, which now kind of tempers my expectations on Devin Funchess a little bit. And I'm sure we'll get some more from you since he's a little bit higher, but give me a little something right now.
It's just a great spot, to be honest. I mean, we don't have to go into mine that much because you just basically said everything I was going to say. But I mean, it's just a really good spot. You got Andrew Luck, and Funchess it doesn't look good, and it's a perfect spot for him, and it's really more dynasty than it is this year, but it's still going to be this year. That's why I have him as high as I do. We'll find out when we get there.
I think Paris Campbell will be really good in a best ball type format. I think he's going to have some.
I agree with that. Yes,
single games, but over the course of the season, he's not going to be fantasy fuel consistent that we approve.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really do. And it was more the dynasty aspect that put him so high on my list.
Sure. Your number 5 was my number 8. We were talking about Ebo Samuel again. All right. Explain your case.
It's just another guy I could see starting week 1. I mean, you kind of said it when you were talking about it too. The 49ers don't have a ton of wide receivers, so that they can rely on. I mean, that's just basically what I said the first time. But I think it's going to be Pettis and Ebo Samuel. I really do, and I think that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at some point in the near future on this team because they need wide receivers, and I think he is a good fit there.
All right. Sounds good. Moving along to number 4, my third tight end on my list in the year of the rookie tight end. I'm hoping Josh Oliver from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, yeah. And then I almost forgot. I don't know how it would have slipped my mind, but I almost forgot that Jacksonville has Nick Foles. And Nick Foles does like his tight ends. I know there was like the first couple of games when he came in for Wentz, Zach Ertz didn't get much. But then there were games where Zach Ertz had like 12 catches from Nick Foles. He does throw to his tight end. So new team, new quarterback, new tight end. It could just work out in Nick Foles' favor.
That's very possible. And it's funny you say that with the Nick Foles because I was going to bring up that I've heard a lot of comparisons of Oliver to Zach Ertz. So and it does make sense because, hey, if Zach Ertz can be good with Nick Foles, then there's no reason to think that Nick Foles can't make Josh Oliver an extremely good tight end too. But again, it's a rookie tight end. But it's really difficult for me in that aspect. But I hear you're out, and I think there's a good possibility there.
Yep, I like the matching. Again, it will all play out, and we will see. I hope I'm right because I really do. It struck a chord when I put it all together and remembered that Nick Foles was in Jacksonville and he wasn't my backup quarterback. I'm like, oh, he's I like this guy. All right, number 4 for Mr. Tuttle is the guy that just kept slipping in the draft. I just got to tell a quick story about this.
Yeah, sure.
I went to go see Avengers Endgame on Friday night. And I went with my buddy who is a Seattle Seahawks fan. And we are watching the draft. You know, we got in early because we wanted to get decent seats. So we're just sitting there. We're watching the draft on our phone. And the Seahawks, they traded back. He's like, what is going on? Oh, they could have had DK Metcalf right there. Then the Eagles pick comes along. And I'm like, my God, are we going to get DK Metcalf? That could be interesting. And then we took JJ Arcega-Whiteside, which I'm sure we will talk about. And I was happy with that after reading a little bit more about him. Like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Well, we didn't take DK Metcalf. And another team took a wide receiver, and another team took a wide receiver, but it wasn't DK Metcalf. Then the movie started, so we stopped watching the draft. We got out of the movie, and he looks at me. He's like, "Oh my God, we still got DK Metcalf at the end of the round." I'm like, "That is insane. You traded back and still got the guy you wanted." So number 4 for Tom, DK Metcalf.
Yes, I had so much to say on that. No, I'm just kidding. You basically said everything just by telling me that story, because everybody knows that Metcalf was the best at the combine. His numbers were amazing, and that was basically what made me fall in love with him. The Seattle Seahawks, I'm not going to say they needed a wide receiver, but they kind of did. It's kind of an interesting.
I don't think Doug Baldwin is going to see another down in the NFL.
There's a very good possibility of that. So you know that it's going to be Russell Wilson and Metcalf, and I think that I could have put him higher on my list. I was just like, I gotta be sure about this before I do it. So I think he's going to be a superstar at some point, and this is a dynasty type of look at him right now. I think that I've heard comparisons to Calvin Johnson. It's just this. If you get compared to him, you're going to be a Megatron. It's just a freak.
Yep.
And that's what I think. I think he's just going to be a superstar in the league. I hope so, because I've been man crushing on him for a little while now.
Yes, you have. All right. My number 3 is my 4th and final tight end. No, I do not have more than 4 tight ends. That's a lot for this list. But again, it's the year of the rookie tight end. I'm saying it right now. I'm saying it loud. I'm saying it proud. Noah Fant, Denver Broncos. As soon as he went there, I was like, oh, I like a lot.
Yep.
Not that Denver has a great offense, and they did take Drew Lock. They got him late. They didn't have to use an early pick on him, so that was good. So that means Joe Flacco gets to start at least this year. Maybe they bring Drew Lock along for a couple of years. They don't have a lot invested in him, so they can give him time to develop. And my goodness, Joe Flacco loves his tight ends. When he was in Baltimore, whoever was out there for tight end was getting the ball. Now, I don't know 100% if that was because they didn't have much for wide receiver while he was there, except for Steve Smith, but his tight ends got the ball. So I really, really love that fit.
Yeah. If I had to pick one tight end to put in my top 10, it would be Noah Fant. I really like him. There's no doubt. I mean, Jake Butt's nobody. Fumagalli is nothing that I thought he was. I thought he was going to be something, but this would be the guy that if I would put in my top 10 if I felt like I could do that with tight ends, because I really believe that he's going to be the next. I don't want to say it, but it feels right to say that he's going to be the next Gronkowski.
Ooh, boy, that's some big shoes to fill there. I'm talking rookie tight ends. You're talking Hall of Fame tight end here.
No, hold on. The problem is, and I would say the next Gronkowski if he was on a slightly different team. Like, I just don't believe in the Broncos to. I mean, it could be successful. I just don't know if it's going to be Gronk successful.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we've got one more new name on our lists, and then the rest we've half mentioned, and some of us have talked. The last new name for your number 3 is Nicole Hardman. Again, I don't know how to say his first name. I haven't heard anybody say it yet.
I think it's McCole. That's what I was going to say, so we're going to go with that.
Nicole Hardman, wide receiver, Kansas City. Explain yourself.
It's pretty simple to explain. I mean, there's not much of a better landing spot for any wide receiver, because Tyreek Hill and his issues just leads to Hardman's success. I don't think Hill's going to play another game, another snap. I don't really know, but it's tough to foresee. But they obviously, the Kansas City have suspended him for now, and that means they went out and drafted a guy because they needed to get some other receiver other than Sammy Watkins, who's been very hurt for his entire career. So this is just a great spot for him. And listen, it's Kansas City's dynamic offense with Patrick Mahomes. This could be huge for Hardman.
I will weigh in just a minute on Nicole Hardman.
Yep.
That means we're moving along to number 2. I've got DK Metcalf there. I've already told you my story. He kept slipping, and he ended up with Russell Wilson, who's just made a monster of a deal. So he's going to have his quarterback there for the length of his entire rookie contract, which was only 4 years because he wasn't a first rounder. But the chemistry there could be amazing. We know Russell Wilson can scramble around and make plays with his legs, and DK Metcalf has got all the intangibles necessary.
Yeah.
Every single one of them to block out a guy. He's a monster. If you just look at him compared to some other guys, he's a freak athlete. And Russell Wilson is going to like having him there. I don't know what else to say. He's got Tyler Lockett, speedster on one side, and then DK Metcalf, who you alluded to, has been compared to Calvin Johnson. And if you've got Calvin Johnson on one side and a guy that you just had a perfect passer rating to the year before on the other side, it gives me little tingles. And we know our buddy Asa, the Seattle Seahawks fan, he was high-fiving me in the theater after the show, and it wasn't because he was so happy with him.
Everybody's turning around. Well, he really liked that movie. Yeah. Wow.
He high-fived me over somebody else. There was somebody sitting in between us. Well, there you go. That is all the reason you need to be happy about where DK Metcalf landed. So, moving on to Tom's number 2. I talked about him at number 5, Paris Campbell.
Yeah, you said everything when you talked about him, which is fine. But like I said, it's just a tremendous spot for him, and I really, really believe that he's going to have a lot of success, more so in the future than this year. But I think this is going to be a perfect spot.
All right. Why don't you do your number 1 first before I do mine?
Yeah, my number 1 is Josh Jacobs. Listen, there's nothing else to say rather than he's going to be the guy. I don't believe it's going to be Martin. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be Josh Jacobs. They drafted this guy. It's a perfect landing spot. What else can you say? It's the Raiders are going to do this. Like you said, I was going to bring this up, but you got Isaiah Crowell gets injured. Now it's even better. This is just the best thing for Josh Jacobs. And I think that if you are playing fantasy football and you have the number 1 pick, it's going to be Josh Jacobs. And if it's not Josh Jacobs, then you better figure out a way to get that number 2 pick, because I'm telling you, he's going to be the guy. It's really the only real running back in this class that I can see being the number 1 running back on a team right now.
Yeah, it's if you don't want Josh Jacobs right now and you have the number 1 pick, you'll be able to trade it now. I mean, we were talking, during the draft, even before the draft, like, I just don't know if I had the number 1 pick, I wouldn't want it anymore. I would want it a little more now with Josh Jacobs, but if you're still on the fence with him, you'll be able to trade that number 1 pick now. I about guarantee you can get out of it and get some value, get a couple of, mid to late firsts or something, and, stack your roster a little different way. But the number 1 pick now actually has more value after the draft than it did before.
No doubt. I mean, to me, it's the consensus number 1. And that's the thing. Number 1 is, to me, I don't want to say astronomically higher than the number 2, but there's a pretty decent gap there.
Yep. And my number one landing spot, much like what you said earlier, is Nicole Hardman.
Yep.
There is no better spot for him. He's kind of a Tyreek Hill clone.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot about him before the draft, but if the Chiefs are willing to put their faith in him, then there must be something there because he's going to get on the field. They don't have a lot other than Sammy Watkins and obviously Travis Kelce, but Travis Kelce is not taking away from Nicole Hardman's looks. It's going to be he's going to be running those bubble screens and the same things that Tyreek Hill was going to be. He may even be back there on punt returns and those kinds of things. And while we're on the subject of the Kansas City Chiefs, I just wanted to bring up something I saw earlier today that I could do another cringeworthy bump right now because, obviously we talked about it during the draft because it happened last week. The recordings that came out about Tyreek Hill and his whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what their relationship is anymore. Crystal Espinal, their audio, it was terrible. Just terrible listening to that. Now, apparently his side of things have included a text message exchange between the two of them. And I'm going to read this to you, but before I do, I am just going to tell you, and everything that I have read, everybody's response to it is exactly the same. And I came out like, wait a second. These aren't the same two people that I heard in the audio. These aren't the same two people that I have seen in the past have issues with one another. Here is the two response exchange between Tyreek Hill and Crystal Espinal. Tyreek says, Crystal, I didn't cause any bruising or harm to, and it's probably redacted, our son, probably his name, but for some reason I still may be charged. And Crystal responds, I know you didn't. I did. I hurt our son. I'm the one that did it. I was hurt and mad at you, so I blamed you for everything.
What?
Does that sound like the same two people that we heard last week?
Who's claiming that was what was said?
Crystal said, I know you didn't hurt him. I did. I hurt our son. I'm the one that did it. I was hurt and mad at you, so I blamed you for everything.
I mean, we know that is that true?
This is my take on the whole thing, and it is basically the same take that I have seen on Twitter, on Reddit, on Facebook, everywhere. Everybody's like, they just staged this. There is zero chance both of these people even know how to form complete sentences when they text each other for real. Guaranteed they don't use this kind of language when they actually text each other. So while this, if it were true, that would pretty much get Tyreek Hill off the hook.
Well, you would think so, yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to fall for this.
These are text messages that were released by who?
It was given to the NFL in their investigation by Tyreek's side of things. I don't know if it was a lawyer or somebody like that, but it was given to the NFL by Tyreek.
And
to try and clear his name.
Do we know? I have some questions. Do we know if the text messages were actually from? Do they have the telephone numbers sitting in front of them?
That is not. It was included in a letter to the NFL, so it was text message. I don't think they actually gave over the records from the phone company of any kind yet that I know of.
If there's records, that's going to be pretty convincing to a certain extent.
It depends on when this took place too.
Yeah.
I mean, and then what were the messages before and after? If it was, some slang talking about, I'm going to go to the store and get some fried chicken. Crystal, I didn't cause any bruising or harm. I swear it just looks staged. And I think he is trying to pull a fast one and do whatever he can to try and get away from paying for his mistakes.
Yeah, well, his paying for his mistakes is going to be not playing in the NFL.
Yep.
100%, because he's already had the prior. This is it. Plus this one could be, I mean, you harm a child in any way, and if that's proven, I don't think he plays anymore. But I mean, Adrian Peterson's still playing, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he didn't break his kid's arm, but
I mean, the lashes and whatnot. I mean, that's pretty hard
not
to watch.
good,
Hard
obviously.
to see. Yeah.
But anyway, Nicole Hardman's a good pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. Just to top that all off. So there goes our top 10 best landing spots. And again, I said next week we'll do our top 10 worst landing spots. Some guys that maybe you should stay away from because it's not looking pretty for some of those guys.
Yeah.
But we'll tell you again next Tuesday. Tuesday night we'll be recording. I should get it out sometime shortly after that, and it will be good to go Wednesday morning on your commute to work. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And that being said, you can find us all over the place. FantasyFuelPodcast.com is the first place you can see us. You can listen to us there. You can find out all our social medias, which are Facebook.com/FantasyFuel or the Stardom and Situm page on Facebook, which again, everything's in the show notes. All you got to do is swipe a little over or scroll a little further down, and all those links are there for your viewing pleasure. You can find us at Twitter at Fantasy Fuel. And of course, we can't go by an episode right now without mentioning Whole Sports. And that's going to be a very cool app. I mean, right now actually would be a great time for it, but we're still waiting. Waiting.
Yep.
Getting this thing, it's going to get ironed out, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to give you real time stats. If you're asking Stardom, Situm questions, waiver questions, should I make this trade? Should I pick up this guy? You punch it in. You are part of a community, and you give your input, and then you can ask for input. I think it is a great relationship builder there. And I'm excited. I know I talk about it every week, but I'm excited when this gets going. It's going to be very cool. Is there anything you would like to add at the end of our show, Mr. Tuttle?
I don't think so. I think today I'm ready to go to bed. I got a headache. All these rookies are giving me a headache.
Oh yeah, they will for a little while. All right. One last thing, if you're on YouTube, please click that subscribe button if you enjoy watching us, and that little bell to give you notifications when a new video arises. If you're on Apple Podcasts, that would be a great place to, give us a rating. It doesn't have to be 5 stars. If you don't think we're 5-star worthy, that's fine, but any rating will do. Give us a review. Tell us how we're doing. We love the feedback. And if you want to contact us via email, or not email, well, you can email at fantasyfieldpodcast@gmail.com, but I was going for phone number, and it didn't come out right. That phone number is 608-492-3443. Rookies. It's going to be the talk for the next how long? And like I said, we're going to do top 10 worst landing spots next week. So only a few days away. But don't forget to stay fueled up this off season.